Welcome to Mi40 University Day 1. This is the training stream. I'm Ben Pakulski, and the point of Mi40 University is to teach you guys all the biggest thing holding you back from achieving the body of your dreams, whether it be specific body parts or whether it be just the overall amount of muscle you're building. So when we look at things holding you back from achieving the body of your dreams, one thing comes to mind, the thing that I believe to be the number one most important aspect to building muscle, and that's creating tension, optimizing the amount of tension, maximizing the amount of tension, and optimizing the amount of torque around a joint. So what's the number one thing you can do right now in your workout today or tonight to optimize the amount of tension in the working muscle? Now remember, tension can be evenly dispersed amongst a group of muscles, or it can be isolated here to work one muscle. So your body's always looking for a path of least resistance, the easiest path to move a weight. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to isolate specific muscles. So what's the number one thing you can do right now to make sure you're building muscle? Initiate with the working muscle. So what does that mean? That means the first thing to move in any exercise you're doing is the working muscle, is contract that muscle first. And then once you've contracted that muscle first, I want you to continue contracting through that. As opposed to what most people are going to do is they're going to initiate with some type of bounce, some type of movement, some type of inertia. We're going to completely eliminate inertia, and we're going to make sure the working muscle is initiating the motion. If you can do that, and only that, and if you get one thing out of the next 30 days of Mi40 University, and you take that away, it will completely change the way you train for the rest of your life. So I highly suggest you guys go home and try these few simple tips that I'm about to share with you. So anyone who's been to one of my camps at the Mi40 gym is gonna remember this test. And we do a 3-inch range of motion test. Can you actually execute a 3-inch range of motion? Most of you would say yes. I would beg to say most of you cannot. Not intentionally with really any amount of weight, especially maybe even a quarter amount of the weight that you're used to using. And the example we use here in the gym is with a squat. So what we'll actually do is we'll put you to the bottom of a squat and we'll stop. Whether or not you have knee problems or back problems, it's a body weight squat. I think every human being on the planet should be allowed or able to do a body weight squat, barring obviously people who have massive injuries or surgery or something like that. Most people should be able to do that. Why? Because it's an evolutionary thing. So from an evolutionary perspective, we had to go to the bathroom in a tree or in a bush or on the side of the road. We didn't always have public toilets. So we should all be able to squat right to the ground and sit there and stop there. So for those of you that like to train your legs, or even if you don't, I suggest you try this at home. You get to the bottom of the squat, you stop. You try to create as much contact with the entire space of your foot as possible. So we're trying to have as much surface area of our foot pushing into the ground, which is going to afford us the greatest opportunity to generate force. So what I want you to do is sit down there, relax, really straight spine. So we're going to stand proud at the bottom of this squat. And we're going to push into the ground. And then what I want you to think about doing is, if you could imagine this being my feet, I want you to slightly push with the outside of your feet. So you're going to slightly rotate onto the outside of your feet. What you're going to notice happens there is your knees are going to start to push out. And that's great for optimal tracking of your knee joint. We want your knee tracking directly over your ankle, directly over your toes. We never want them caving in. So by preferencing the outside of our feet a little bit, it's going to give you that optimal tracking of your knee. Once you start to push into the ground on the outside of your foot, I want you to think about pushing the ground away as hard as possible, as though I was doing a leg press to the ground. I'm not trying to stand up. I just want to push in the ground as hard as I possibly can, but I don't want to move. Not an inch, not even a centimeter. So I want you guys to push in the ground as hard as you can. What do you feel? Your muscles start to contract. So before you even move, those muscles are contracting. Now I want you to push harder, 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 until you just have no choice but to move. And then we're going to move only about 3 inches. So I want you guys to move just about that much. So your hips move about that far. And that's it. And then I want you to focus on pushing the ground down to go down as well. So I want you to try to resist it in both directions. So this is a really good cue to understand what's supposed to happen in every exercise that you do, whether it be a bench press, whether it be a pull down, whether it be a barbell curl, a bicep curl, anything like that. If you can make that muscle move the weight through those first 3 inches of range, you know you're doing work with the appropriate muscle. You know you're going to get enough effort. You know you're getting enough work. What's going to happen? The weight's going to go down. Why? Because that's what your muscle is able to do. We're not using inertia. We're not using momentum. Is it hard? Absolutely. It sucks. That's why most people don't want to do it, because it's hard. Most people like to come in the gym and move a tremendous amount of weight and not actually do any work. That's why you get all these people coming in the gym and throwing weights around. So there's work in about 5 to 10% of the range. We're trying to make things hard for ourselves. We're trying to get something accomplished in the amount of time we're in the gym. So we want to make things as hard as we possibly can. Look for the pain, seek it out, and when you find it, don't let it go. Initiate, squeeze those muscles like it owes you money. Ben Pakulski for Mi40 University out.